See Beneath Your Beautiful podcast is raw and intimate, sometimes funny, and always entertaining. With new episodes every Saturday, Hara explores our loves, fears, and hopes with a delicious combination of depth and lightness. Hi.
Hi.
Do you see the recording is on?
Got the notification. Proud of you.
Take 2. Interview with Savana. Because the first time, after a lovely hour-and-a-half conversation, I realized I didn't turn on record, but it is definitely recording now. It's because I'm so comfortable with you. That's what I've decided.
I think so too. I think we were excited.
Yeah, we were excited to chat, even though we're mom and daughter.
Great.
So, Savana, my darling, why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Savana Alden. I'm a daughter, a sister, a wife, a developer, an artist. I think that sums it up.
You are all those things. The purpose of my podcast is to offer hope. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is your struggle of moving so much when you were little and the hard work of being a teenager and to where you are now and how far you've come. And also what it was like having me as a mom, because I did a coaching session yesterday and I went back to my childhood and I realized that I didn't know my value beyond, I guess, what I could offer people in terms of my body and my looks, especially. And just yesterday, I realized, oh, I've had value all along, which saddens me for my children. I wonder if that's true for you and something I accidentally passed down. What do you think about your value? I just was so surprised that I have a purpose and I'm valuable just because I'm alive.
I think I'm just starting to learn all that.
Yeah.
But it is a process. But I think everybody goes through the same process from what I can understand and what I've gathered from it, all of my friends and people I love, that we all don't love ourselves until we do, especially being a teenager. Like who do you know that like just woke up and through all their kiddom being super weird and going through all those changes, and then through a teenager where your hormones are just crazy. And especially me, I was a riot, but I never saw myself until recently, I guess.
I have this suspicion, though, that if we had known God's love, because definitely I'm imperfect as a mom, your dad didn't do it right. I think if we had known that no matter what, we were worthy and lovable, despite whatever shit we're doing. What do you think about that?
I don't believe in God. I believe in like a higher power, or I like to call it my universe.
Yeah. Knowing you're part of this bigger something is, I guess, the point.
Yeah. But even then it's like, yeah, I guess if you want to call it God too, that word just pisses me off because I don't like a lot of Christians and how they practice. So the word has a tinge to me, but
same.
Everything happens for a reason. And I think that's what gets me through a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm. So do you think then we all just have this lesson no matter what, and you're in your early 20s and you're just learning it sooner than I learned it yesterday? And I'm not even kidding it was a real light bulb moment that even as a little girl, I had value beyond anything I could offer anybody, whatever talents I didn't possess, that I was still worthy of affection and attention and love just because I'm a person.
I think I've always felt that. I think I've felt less about myself, but I think I know, and I get anxious and think that my worth doesn't matter, but I know that I still have worth. I just, sometimes it doesn't feel like it matters a lot, or other people's opinion of my worth matters to me. Yeah. Like I just read a really good quote. It's important to keep your feelings and self-worth in different places, because when your feelings get hurt, it shouldn't change how you view yourself. And I feel like that's what I have a problem with. Feelings and self-worth aren't the same, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's my biggest lesson I'm trying to learn.
Yeah. I love that you're trying to learn it. And I appreciate that you're not just fumbling through life and expecting people to change around you, but you're willing to do the work and you're going to change. That's awesome.
Best of my ability.
I'm so thankful that I'm able to, at 53, have a new thought and a new belief. I think that's what is so great, that now I believe that that little girl was worthy, and it changes all my experiences from that moment on, because now I can see it all differently now.
I don't know if you put that on me, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I'm really glad. So I divorced your father when you were 6 years old. And in the first year, I realized I was going to have to move to Boston from Idaho to live with my sister. And then we lived with her for a little bit, and we moved to Rhode Island because that's where I was working. But then we relocated back to Idaho, and then we changed schools again. And so how many schools were you in the first years of school?
In the 5 years of elementary school, I was in 6 different schools, I think.
Yeah. And how do you think that, it just affected your life? Because I moved once when I was 12, and I still feel traumatized.
I was a lot more traumatized when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was just hard moving, making new friends.
Yeah.
And I think I developed a little bit of anxiety from all of it, just always being the new kid. But now I have the skills to move and be the new kid. And I know it's going to be okay, even though I do get that same level of anxiety, just like you do in school, where it's like, oh my God, are they going to like me? And then you always get to it where you're like, fuck it, who cares if they like me? It depends. The span of how long it takes you to get there always changes. But you always get there.
Like when you start new jobs, you have that same.
New jobs, coming up to Canada. Every time I go to a new job, it's like being the new kid in school. I hate it. At auxiliary and at 14-4, it took me like a month to talk to somebody. And then I make lifelong friends. You know what I mean? That's the same thing it was in school, I think.
You really do have so many great lifelong friends. But your teenage years were a shit show.
Yeah.
I actually called the police on you once.
Yeah.
The way I tell the story is you walked out to the police car with your hand on your hip and you said, "Are you going to arrest me?" And I'm standing on the porch crying. And the police officer comes up to me and says, "Are you the mom?" And I was like, "It doesn't seem like it." Because you were so freaking sure of yourself and I was a wreck.
I was just angry, and I'm not entirely sure where it was all coming from, but I just remember being angry all the time.
Oh.
And it was usually at you.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. I had a lot of anger. I got in fights too.
Oh, yeah.
I bullied girls sometimes, which I'm really sorry about.
Oh.
Talking back to my friends who I'm still friends with now, we were so angry. And now we're all great human beings with great jobs. So thankfully it all works out, because we all had different childhoods too, right? Like Courtney's parents are still together. You know, there was never a divorce causing the same anger I think I had, but
okay,
we were hellions. But it makes for good stories now, I guess. I don't know.
Every time I think of you as a teenager, you telling me as an adult how you swam in the Amway pool, jumped the fence, swam in the pool.
Yeah. But that was like Courtney's 17th birthday, and that's one of my favorite memories. So we were awful, but we were really funny. Like there was this one time I was at a house party, and there was about 300 kids there. We're at some kids' parents' lake house. They were like, "Oh, the cops are coming. The cops are coming." I was like, "There's no way the cops are coming." And then the cops came. There was 300 kids. So the cops were like, "We're going to let you all go. We just have to speak to every single one of your parents." And they had to get the okay from the parents to let them leave. And me and my friend were like, "I'd rather go to jail than call my mom." So we hid underneath the porch and waited for the cops to leave, and then ran away. And I ended up hiding in this bush and was wouldn't move. And Courtney was like, "Savannah, they're gone." Called me and was like, "Savannah, they're gone. We have a sober driver. Someone's mom just came and pick us up. You need to get out and get in the car." And I was like, "I can't. I'm in the bush." She said, "Get out of the bush." And I was like, "I have become the bush. I can't." But someone told me, if you're ever getting chased by the cops, become the bush. You are the bush. Like if you think that you're the bush, then they won't find you. And so there's like stories like that, but I'm 25 and that was when I was like 17 and me and Courtney are always like, I'm in the bush.
What kind of idiots are giving you this kind of advice? Become the bush.
It was actually Selena's mom. She said, if we were ever running from the cops, if you climb up a tree, become the tree. If you hide in a bush, become the bush.
Why did she expect you to be running from the cops at some point is the question.
Because I think she knew what me and Selena were getting up to.
She knew better than I did.
She came over once when I was throwing a house party when you were gone.
Oh.
I was the only one who would answer the door. And she was like, where's Selena? I was like, I'll go get her. And then she wouldn't come. So I was like, she's not here. And then she's like, well, go get Ashton. Like, let me see him. I was like, okay. And I went and got Ashton and he wouldn't come. And I was like, he's not here. And she's like, are they both safe? I was like, yeah, Kim, I'm really sorry. And she's like, okay, just don't be stupid. I'm like, okay, love you. Bye.
I always like you guys would clean up after parties, but there would always be wine glasses in the dishwasher. You were smart enough to clean up, but not to put away. I was like, aha.
I think there were shot glasses you found once in the dishwasher too.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, better do it at home than out. And also, I mean, we're all kids once, we're all terrible. I can't drink Jack Daniels because I got sick on Jack Daniels at 12 years old.
Same with Fireball. Fireball's.
How old were you when you got sick on Fireball?
I think 16. Cinnamon makes me nauseous.
The smell of whiskey truly brings me right back.
It's a doozy.
Oh, yeah. Well, so teenage years are hard, but you were always, even though you were goofing off, you had a job at a young age.
Yeah, I haven't been unemployed since I was 16. Yeah, I was at Auxiliary for 2 years and then 14 for 2 years. And now I'm at Critical Mass as a vendor for Apple.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you've come so far from your shitty teenage years.
I really have.
I mean, really far though. And you put yourself through college. I helped barely.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always paid for your car insurance and your cars, after the first car that you did a cartwheel when I paid the guy. That was so cute.
I still remember that feeling because I was looking for so long and I wanted one so bad.
I know, because we had like $2,000 and it was really hard to find one that was even drivable for that amount. We test drove a lot of icky cars.
And that one was a stick and I didn't even know how to drive stick. You had to drive it home for me. Do you remember that?
Oh, no.
I was like, it's $2,000 and it drives. Like, I'll learn stick. I'll figure it out.
Back in my day, back when I was a kid, we all had stick.
I know.
Chips.
Now it's like cool that I know how to drive stick. But
yeah. So you moved everywhere. It was rough being a teenager, which is the case for everybody. And then you put yourself through college and now you have a great job and you're happily married.
That's weird. Yeah, I am.
I know, that is weird. Well, you guys are so cute together. I really love him for you.
I do too. He's a nice guy. He's a sweet man.
He's the same sense of humor as you guys. You dressed up like Santa and Mrs. Claus, right? At Christmas?
He dresses up as Santa every year because his dad did. And so he asked me to dress up as Mrs. Claus. And it was a fight, but I did it because I wanted to be an elf. So that's the kind of fights we have. Very serious.
That's so funny.
It was a whole thing. He's like, but you're Mrs. now. You're Mrs. Claus. We're married. I'm like, I don't want to be an old lady. That was the argument.
You always wear like matching costumes and stuff. You're like, have that same sensibility.
Yeah. Like the 80s photo shoot was his idea.
Did you tell me that you're mentoring a young student?
Oh yeah. Tomorrow is my first advisor meeting. I'm participating in this nonprofit called Built by Girls. And it's getting women in the tech industry to be advisors for young women, mostly coming out of high school and starting college, just how to get their foot in the door and how we got our foot in the door, because the tech industry is only compromised of, I think, 10 compromised?
Composed ever.
Composed. Wait.
No, there's a between those two words. Let me think. Say it differently.
Made up of.
Do the whole sentence again. Yeah.
Say that hurt. Composed? I think it's composed. It's funny.
The tech industry.
The tech industry. Yeah. The tech industry is made up of only about 10% women, which is crazy because there's so many job opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just trying to get more women in the field.
That's awesome.
So I'm talking to her tomorrow. We have 3 sessions for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to learn a little about her, and I'll tell her about my journey. And if she has any questions, and I think she wants to be coached on the interview process and how to get internships and how to make your resume, which I'm not very far in my career, but I know that part.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm excited. She's this cute little girl from Chicago.
Oh, cute. That's really cute.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I wanted to interview was, well, I like the fact that we're as mother and daughter and that we're very close. And I feel like we can have a frank discussion, even if it's not complimentary to one of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell you you were an asshole teenager and you're not going to take offense is my point.
Just spitting facts.
That's me over here spitting facts. Never heard that term.
You're a dork.
That I've heard. Well, so what I wanted to talk about though was I have struggled most of my life with body image. And I think it stems from what we first talked about was I didn't know my value. And so I placed so much emphasis on what I looked like, because how else would you love me unless I was beautiful or I could do something for you in that way? And so I know I've shown you poorly what it's like to love yourself. And that has been a bit of a struggle for you in the past. And so will you talk about that a little bit? And then we'll talk about how the See Me project came about.
I did learn a little from you, but it's also a lot when I think back, a societal thing as well.
Mm.
And the friends I had at the time, where that's what we based our worth off of too. It's not like you're the only influence.
I see.
Even though I did.
Yeah.
I think it started, but it has stemmed through years with different influences.
Like Instagram worthy, for instance. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Or like me and my friend, we would always be on diets, right? Like that's how we got along, like holding each other accountable to diets, or both hating our bodies. And we would try to be healthy and work out. But if we were bad, it was like the term bad, you know what I mean? Instead of just
I do
treating your body. So I think that's only been kind of recently. I've been trying to really snap out of that mentality, and I've been definitely following different kinds of people. I think Instagram is probably the biggest influence, where you're not just seeing this perfect image because it fucks with you because you don't see it back.
Mm-hmm.
I do follow this one model who shows her posed photos, and then in the same exact position shows her not posing. You can see all the rolls on her thighs and her belly rolls over. She has a specific pose and shows you how she's posing so that she doesn't look like that. But she's like, this is a normal body. Like, this is what you're supposed to look like. I'm posing. Mm-hmm. I know the lighting. I know how to move my body. I know how to hold my muscles. That's not what I look like every single second of the day. And so that's been a really good lesson. You just can't compare.
Right.
It's so hard, especially when you're taught to.
Right.
As a female, especially in America, that's what everything thrives on. Mm-hmm. So unlearning all those habits. And I've also followed I Weigh, which is by Jamila Jamil, I think is how you say her name. She was from The Good Place, but I follow her on Instagram, and she talks about how you weigh more than that number on the scale. Like, what do you weigh to society? Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to say things like, I weigh that I'm a developer. I weigh that I'm a sister. I weigh that I'm a wife. I weigh that I'm loving. I weigh that I'm genuine. Because the number doesn't fucking matter. Like, I haven't weighed myself except on accident at the doctor's office in years, because every time I look, it bumps me out. And that's such a stupid thing to get bummed out about.
Yeah, same. It is just a number. And I truly believe that. I was talking to my sister the other day saying that I haven't weighed myself. I mean, I know if I'm heavy or not, my clothes don't fit. Mm-hmm. But the number is just a number, and it's not going to tell me anything that I need to know. It is nothing to do with me.
Well, because I fluctuated so much, especially from a teenager.
Yeah.
I was tiny as a teenager. Even when I was working out insane, I was still 20 pounds from my lightest ever. I was working out, but my goal was that 15-year-old weight. And I'm like, I physically can't get there. So it's just stupid. Like, who gives a fuck? Am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yes.
Okay.
Why, yes, you are.
I think that was my first time.
I don't know. I can't prove that you did it last time, but I think you did.
I'm sure I did. I have a potty mouth. I'm trying hard.
Can't prove anything. I looked at the air like, how do I capture that? That wasn't recorded. It looks so sad. So I was so sad that I didn't hit record last time. And then I did hit record at the very end after we realized I hadn't recorded, just to see how your sound was. I was like, I want to drink, but I don't drink. Anyway, then we found some mints that were pot mints. And then I did one.
How do you feel?
I did a voice memo at 9:00 for you, and I'm going to put it at the end of this podcast.
Did you have a John Mulaney moment?
What's the John Mulaney moment?
Where I got super, super high and was watching John Mulaney. And I was like, John Mulaney is so woke. And that was my note to myself when I woke up in the morning. And I thought I was so brilliant. I'm glad you listened to me because I told you to only take one. Oh my
gosh, I was stoned for hours. It was awful.
I told you.
It was the worst. I was so frustrated at 9:00 at night.
Just for any experienced smokers out there, it's a 2.5 milligram mint. So it's nothing crazy. It's literally the lowest dose you can get. But that's why I get them too, because I get so stoned off of one. But it's not like I gave you like this crazy cookie. I gave you one mint that was 2.5 milligrams.
That's funny. Okay, so we're learning to love ourselves. We're learning to love our bodies. And I did a boudoir photo shoot of you. And afterwards you had, because of the I Weigh, you had this idea to paint the words that describe you on your back, which started a whole photo series, which was really lovely, Savannah, that I guess you were 25 at the time, or 24. Anyway, somewhere around there. That at that age, you really are learning to love yourself. Know your worth beyond your body. That's what that series meant to me. Anyway, that sparked the series. Do you remember any of your words?
I chose sister, passionate, creative, strong, genuine, outgoing, peacemaker.
Peacemaker is the one I remember. And do you think peacemaker is something you're learning to let go of a little bit, because it's almost like you have to fix things?
I'm a chronic people pleaser.
Yeah.
Is where that comes from. So I need everybody to get along. So I think I'm trying to unlearn that. But I also think it does come with some strengths that,
oh yeah,
I do mend some bridges, but not all bridges are there for me to mend, right?
Yeah. You can only be responsible for you is the point, because you can only do so much. Well, I know you always say that you and your friends always are like, our moms were so nice and we were so mean back then. What do you see different now? What did you think back then that's different now? Like what did you think I was doing, or did I do, that's different in your head now?
I think this goes for all kids and teenagers, and then you become an adult, because it's happened in a lot of aspects of my life that I think differently now about things that I had quote unquote trauma from as a kid or teenager. The world doesn't revolve around you, but it does as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So you just think everything's happening to you, or every time you gave me a rule, it's because you hated me. I remember I used to shoplift because we didn't have enough money, but I wanted that top. So that's as far as my thought process would go.
Yeah. And so you were justified. Yeah.
Like I couldn't think about anything around outside myself. That's always what it makes me laugh now. I'm like, what a little bitch. But like, seriously, that's all I could think about. It's just like, it's you. And then now I'm like, oh, you were a woman. You had your own life. You were a single mother. You were running your own business. Like, that's all hard shit. And I was just focused on me, I think.
My dad told me once that when he was young, he thought that when he walked out of the room, the people he left in the room just stopped. Like they weren't animated anymore.
You know, the Truman Show?
Yeah.
That movie fucked me up for a long time because I thought the same, like everything revolved around you. Like there's cameras on you and like everybody moved and did everything for you. Like that's kind of what you think as a kid. And then you grow up and you're like, oh no, everybody's individuals.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that's normal. When I was little, there was candid camera. I don't know if you know what that is, but I always thought I was on candid camera and would act accordingly, like try to be whatever I thought they wanted to see. That's funny. Let's see what else. Well, first I want to just tell you that I am really so proud of you that you came out of your teenager stuff all on your own and you put yourself through college and you've never not worked. And for me, you've also been my biggest supporter and cheerleader. And I really appreciate you. And I love how close we are and that you turned into your mother.
Curses. It always happens.
Much to your chagrin. Well, speaking of curses, I'm real half regretting the curse I put on you as a teenager for your child, but also felt pretty strongly at the time.
James told me I had to break the curse because I told him I'm really nervous if I have a daughter because of the curse. All he did was curse me and say that I had to have a daughter just like me. And now I'm terrified. And so I told James that if we have a daughter, I have to curse her. That's what our family does. And he was like, stop the madness. I can end with you. I'm like, no, that little bitch is getting what comes to her. If I have to deal with it, she has to deal with it. Not pregnant, not even a thought. We're like, I'm already mad at her for her teenager years.
Oh, that reminds me. This is when I think we got close. Tell me if this is true for you. After we called the cops, I sent you away to your dad's house, like early. I put you on a plane the next day. And then when you came home, I picked you up from the airport and I had you sleep in my bed with me. And you were saying that all your friends over the summer were posting on Facebook how happy they were that they were pregnant. And they were like 15 years old. And you said, I'd never tell you if I was pregnant. Just thought, I'm just going to be honest with you and say, well, I had to tell my mom when I got pregnant at 16 and she took me for an abortion, which was really hard. And for me, that was like the moment you realized I was a person and could be a confidant. All of a sudden, I feel like we became friends as soon as I was a real person. I feel like I became a real person to you that night. What do you think about that? Do you even remember that night?
I don't remember.
Oh, it was so monumental for me. I was like, this changed everything. So interesting.
I think it was like when I broke up with my first boyfriend is when we got close.
That you saw me differently?
No, just like kind of snapped out of because it was like that whole thing in hindsight was kind of just like a rebellion. And then I kind of grew up and was like, that's stupid.
Oh.
And then I think I just kind of like snapped out of my shit.
Oh, well, that was a while later. So I imagined then falsely that we were closer sooner. That's so interesting. I love that there are two total truths in the world,
Mm-hmm.
That's really telling, I think. I like that.
Because now that's so funny to me, because if anything happens in my life, you're the first person I call. Like if I was pregnant, I just looked at the door to see if my husband was, I might tell you before I tell Jake, but not really, but you would be up high.
Well, that's good. I think you feel that way now, but I think until that moment, you literally said, I would never tell you. And I was just like, what? I was so surprised.
I wouldn't tell you that I was having sex and had to go to like a place and get birth control without you knowing and had to sign like all these waivers, never to tell you that I was on birth control, even though you're my guardian and everything. I think I was a little ashamed, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you were young. I mean, I get it. I wouldn't want to have that conversation with my mother. I didn't want to tell my mom. I remember wondering, how could I do this without involving my mother? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I was a real grown ass woman that I even considered my mother's point of view of that event, mm-hmm. of her taking me, finding out how to get me an abortion, getting the money, taking me, and not ever telling my stepfather. How about that? Mm-hmm. Never occurred to me to think about it from her point of view. So me expecting you to be different than I was a full grown woman before it even occurred to me that she had a point of view.
Right.
I really appreciate that you're so much wiser than I ever was. And I joke that you and Sonia are Hara 2.0, but you're like Hara 8.8. And there's, you skipped a bunch of generations of, luckily you're not as slow moving as I am.
Well, we're kind of learning from you though. Like you're always questioning yourself.
I think the first self-help book I read was mid-40s. I mean, I never considered that I could change or there was another way.
You know what I just thought of? Singing Missy Elliott Work It in the car with you when I was like 8 years old.
I don't regret that.
There's two types of mothers.
I like that.
I don't either.
Missy Elliott Work It.
I know the first time I showed you Lizzo, you're like, ooh, oh yeah. Like, I get it. I'm like, yeah, you do.
It's such a funny, weird, contradictory thing about me.
I think you just like empowering women.
Oh yeah, I do. I do. And she was taking Missy Elliott and Work It was taking control. Flip it down and reverse it.
Ooh.
Yeah, ooh, now that I said it out loud. Well, it was Missy Elliott Work It and only Broadway kids. You had two things. That's what I'm saying. I'm really complex when it comes to music.
Yeah. Complex. Yeah. Every time Sonia and I take a car trip, all we listen to is Broadway because we don't have anybody else to listen to Broadway to. So we'll put the entire Annie soundtrack on, or like Color Purple, or just blast it. Rent, just every single song.
Isn't it the best though? Because when you play the music, you literally relive the whole musical.
Yeah, you have to listen to the whole thing in a soundtrack. You can't just listen to one song because then you're skipping a scene in your head.
Exactly. See, I've done good in the world.
Yeah.
My dad took me to my first musical in St. Louis, Missouri. We were on a trip and he took me to Guys and Dolls. And boy, was I in. I really do love being in the audience. When Sonia was young, she was in a play and I had to be in the green room with her because I was the mom.
Mm-hmm.
I was so sad. I was like, you guys just come back here and do nothing? She was like, what did you expect us to do? I was like, I didn't think beyond the stage. You're ruining the magic for me and I'll never do this again.
I just remember we got into chorus line. We saw it right before we went to Dad's for the summer and you're like, whatever you do, don't sing tits and ass. And so Sonia and I went down there going, tits and ass.
And as I was walking you into chorus line, I realized you were the only children. I took Sonia once to Miss Saigon. She doesn't really remember, but the guy was stripping on the poles right in the, we were in the front row.
Oh,
worst. I was like, I didn't know. I apologized a lot to you guys.
We were in Massachusetts or Rhode Island, and I think he took me to like a drag show, maybe. All I remember is being very confused.
I didn't know then either what that was. A coworker was in it.
Yeah, I remember she shook her skirt in our face, and I was like, no, I'm going to tap out. This is where
I do remember, though, at a lot of movies and musicals or plays, turning to you both going, sorry, I didn't realize. You were my companions, though. You were my constant. You were my plus ones.
We were your friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were your comrades.
Yeah. We went everywhere together. It was really lovely. I feel really fortunate. It's a really weird time. You just moved to Canada and Sonia just left for the East Coast for 3 months and then she doesn't know where. And it just feels like the end of an era of the three of us, which I'm so happy about because this is what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to go on and live your life and be happy and do fun things and have adventures. Just is really bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like the Three Musketeers for sure.
Yeah. It's been great.
Been through it and back.
Right. I mean, I've almost lost my house twice. And there were years when I couldn't buy you a Christmas gift, but my siblings did in my stead. So there have been rough times, but I'm so proud of both of you for just never letting it stop you from, getting college degrees and doing what you want to do in your life. So proud of both of you.
I strongly believe it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it, right? So even though like I have a hard time saying that I had a hard childhood because people have had it harder.
Yeah.
But I did for me, it was tough.
Totally.
But everything that happened made me a stronger person, a better person, be more empathetic towards other people, be able to see other people's sides.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that that's the outlook you have. If you had to recommend a book to somebody, is there a book that you've read that's changed your life or affected you in some way that you would want other people to read?
Really liked the You Are a Badass book.
Yeah.
just because I think it was at a time where I just really needed to hear it. And it was very nice. Remind yourself that you're a badass. Like, I forgot for a second. Whoops. And so it was nice to get a nice little reminder, a nice kick in the pants. Like, hello, bitch, you rock. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. Forgot there. That was close.
Yeah. Do you remember dedicating the song "You're Fucking Perfect" to me?
Mm-hmm.
That was so sweet of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But you needed to hear it at the time too.
Right. Sometimes we just can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck in our
Mucked up.
really mucked up.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard. It is really funny now. You know what the funniest thing was? You called Maylee and Deanna to tell on me. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, but I felt very justified. I know you were like, I think you were going through some stuff too at the time.
Oh, that could be it. I don't deny that.
I remember because you came back from Dale's trip and kind of like, I did something bratty, but you like overreacted. And it was the first time Taylor was there and she was just like, your mom's psycho. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like you came into my room and smelled hairspray and like slammed the door open. I'm like, are you drinking alcohol? And I like had a hairspray bottle in my hand. I was like, no. And then you're like, give me your like, I think I asked to go to somewhere and I had skipped school. So I had to give you my phone. And so I still to this day, Taylor is my witness. I tossed you gently my phone underhand. I don't believe you. And you said I chucked it at you.
I still feel that way.
I swear, Taylor still talks about it. She was like, that was crazy. Because you were like, I can't believe you just did that. I'm like, I'm just trying not to get close to you because you're scaring me. It was a whole thing. I think we both had images of each other in our head that we couldn't get past. And I'm sure I was being more of a bitch than I'm remembering, you know.
Well, and I can totally see that I did go through some shit. And I really think about it now. And, you know, I wasn't home enough. I was a single mom, but also I was a lonely woman looking for love. So I didn't always parent well. So that's why I'm just so thrilled with the outcome of you two. Like, that's why I always say I don't take any credit. I'm just so amazed at you two because really, I didn't do very well. I'm so lucky you guys just went to college, did what you had to do. You know, you're a vendor for Apple. Like, I mean, unbelievably great. And you're both so talented.
Well, thanks, Mom. But you did do better than you think, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Or else we wouldn't be friends. I'd probably still be mad at you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really good because the saddest things I ever hear are women who have mothers and don't like them. To me, that's the saddest because I don't have a mom.
Yeah. Well, I like you. So.
Oh, good. Well, that's because you are me.
Could have done worse, honey. I took maybe like 2 or 3 hits off a joint that Dad brought.
Yeah.
When we went camping and I had to go straight to bed, like got super sick. So he had to take care of me. I was like I was like gagging and almost puking. Yeah. Couldn't walk. I had to go to the bathroom. So he had to help me to the bathroom. So, and that was off at like 2 or 3 hits. So shit happens.
But you sound like you have drug addict parents. I do drugs and your dad brought a joint. Like, you sounds like we're like,
no.
It does. If you don't know us, we're like, so not.
Straight. Yeah.
So straight.
That's what makes it weird and funny.
Right. That's why it was funny that I did the drug.
But that's why I have to preface, you took 2.5 milligrams, which is like probably the lowest dose you can possibly take. And then you got that stone. So you were definitely not.
Was it you or Sonia once who said, thank you for not being a meth addict?
Me. Because all my exes' parents were meth addicts.
I was like, oh, you're welcome. Look at me, a great mother.
Look what I did. It's so hard. It really fucks you up.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Ugh.
So, but you've done some drugs.
I have done drugs.
I know. I'm always like.
I know. Well, because you were making fun of Philip.
Oh, right.
Telling him he was a drug addict. So I had to stick up for him because I've done all the same drugs he has.
I'm always like, it feels like a movie when you guys have done the drugs, like cocaine.
Oh.
That's so big. Yeah. That's such a big deal.
I think that's like what I've noticed growing up is how many people fucking do cocaine. It's insane.
That's crazy to me.
It's not as big as you think. It is very cash.
Oh, it's not as a big deal. Oh.
Like a lot of people do it. It's the new pot, I guess. I don't know. A lot of people do cocaine is what I'm trying to say.
Is it a lot more addictive than pot though? Isn't it bad for you? I mean, like obviously it's all bad for you, but isn't it terrible to do cocaine? Or as I like to call it, the cocaine?
I don't really like it.
Well, that's good.
So I think if you liked it, it'd be really bad.
Oh yeah.
It can fuck you up. But I think that's what's great about marijuana. It doesn't. Not that I like marijuana either.
Yeah.
But it's not addictive. But I've done mushrooms, which I do love.
I told you what I thought mushrooms were. Did I?
What?
Well, I thought it was like a pill that they called mushrooms.
Oh.
I didn't realize it was an actual mushroom.
Right. I guess you can get it in pill form, I suppose.
I don't know, but I just was like, oh, shrooms are actually mushrooms.
You just like eat like literal mushrooms. Yeah.
I had no idea till recently.
Oh, want to know what I figured out? It was pretty recent. I was in my 20s for sure. I thought the Mile High Club was a Miles credit card until very recently. People are always saying they're in the Miles High Club. I'm like, how many miles back do you get? That's great. Like, you must travel a lot.
I don't know how you can be in a Mile High Club in those bathrooms is all I'm saying. You can't even have room for you.
I don't want to think about it or talk about it with you, but I don't get it either. I don't think it'd be very comfortable.
Impossible in my mind.
There's barely enough room to do the thing you're supposed to go in there for.
They're all lying or they're in a private jet.
Oh, I would do it in a private jet.
I would do it in a private jet also. Just because I could.
Yeah, just why not? The real question is, why not?
Well, and that makes me think of all the times we've made each of our chins drop by saying something inappropriate to each other. We turn red when we try to embarrass each other, and then we're like, why are we talking?
We're a little competitive too.
Oh, that's the worst.
You'll say something and I'll be like, now I have to beat you. I have to level up. And then I'll say something and you're like, well, now I have to level up. Like I have to figure out even more.
It's fun. It's fun.
It is fun. It's traumatizing and terrible, but it's fun. I just think we know a lot. For a mother and daughter, we know a lot about each other's sex lives.
But you don't know anything also, just so you know, which is good.
But neither do you. But
right, which is great. I hope it stays that way. Yeah. I know you have sex, and that's all I need to know.
I know what time you and Philip prefer to have sex, but that's all I need to know.
I love 7:00 sex. Not too tired. Feels like the nighttime. Well, I certainly do love ya.
I love ya.
I'm sorry about the first time, our first non-recording recording. If you could wish hard enough for a recording to just pop up out of air, that's what would have happened. Because I was like, so dumbfounded that I didn't push record. That was the first time ever.
Silly gooses.
Anything else you want people to know?
I do have an art page if anyone wants to go follow it, called savage.over.average on Instagram. I haven't been posting a lot, but I feel very vulnerable sharing my artwork, and it means a lot for people to look at it. I'm also on Instagram as Savana.Alden. If you want to see cute pictures of me and my husband, I'm on Facebook as Savana Alden. I'm on LinkedIn if you're feeling real sassy.
What do you think about people who don't believe anxiety and depression is a real thing?
First things I could think of were all rude. So I'm going to try to restructure them in an appropriate sentence. If you don't personally struggle with it, then you have no idea.
Right.
Because I went for years so depressed and I didn't realize how bad it was until I got on medication. Literally remember driving to work one day going, how on earth did I make it this far without medication? Like, I can't believe I just went through my whole entire life feeling that shitty for that long and made it out. Like, I can't believe you cannot feel like that just from a pill. It's a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't experience with it, don't downgrade anybody else's experience and just have a little bit of empathy or sympathy. You don't have to know what they're going through. You don't have to say anything right. Just say, that sucks. That's it. Just acknowledge, like, don't say it's not real.
Right.
Because that's just not a fact. That's ignorant.
I feel like it's the same as I had somebody tell me once that I talk about losing my mother too much, that I use it to be a victim. And this is a person who still has their mother and who still pays for things and always bails her out. She just doesn't know. That's all there is to it. She just doesn't understand what it's like not to have a mother.
Well, you had to tell me that once too, because I know someone in high school who had lost her mom when she was 10 and was posting about it. I was like, I said the same thing. And you were like, have you lost a mother?
Yeah.
And I said, no. And you're like, then you have no idea. Imagine your life without me. Just try.
Right.
You have no idea what she's going through. And that changed how I think about everything.
Oh, good. Because the truth is we're ignorant when we talk about things like that. It's not necessarily malicious. It's just ignorance. How can you know if you don't know unless you experience it a lot of the times? You don't have to have answers. Just acknowledge what they're going through.
Acknowledge.
Right.
That's it. You don't even have to say sorry. You don't have to say anything. Just like, you don't have to say the magic words.
And I think the nicest thing we can do for somebody anyway is to see and acknowledge them. I think we've had a lovely conversation. Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something that I said important last time, but I think it's okay. Not even against you. Just like, I was like, no, we're just going to nail it. Like,
yeah, it was really special last time.
It's been good.
It was so good. But if you think
better, this time was better.
I think it was a lovely conversation and it went where it just kind of went naturally.
I think so too. I think people get to know a little bit more about me.
I think you're awesome.
Well, thanks. But you're my mom.
I know, but I didn't always like you, so it's not a given.
That's true. It always does surprise me when people are like, you're so awesome. We love you. I'm like, this guy? Who, me?
You really are, though.
Thanks.
Okay, well, thanks for doing it again.
You're very welcome.
I love you.
I love you. Hi, Mom.
Bye, Savannah. I love you.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Take one. Recording. Okay, well, I love you.
I love you too.
I'm going to go not drink.
Drink some olive juice.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm home all alone and I was like, what should I do? I'm like, nothing. Nothing sounds awesome.
I know. I was almost like, maybe I should do some edibles. I was like, there's no why. Just because I'm.
Oh, you gave me this.
I did. I think you had one and we're high. So just try one.
I'm going to have one and see what happens. But
yeah,
look at me. I'm going to do drugs.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
I'm going to do drugs.
I drugs. The drugs your daughter gave you.
I'm going to do drugs that my daughter gave me.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a very strange relationship.
We do.
It's lovely. I'm so happy about it. It really is everything to me.
I know we didn't record, but spending an hour and a half with you made me really happy. So no loss on my side.
Okay, good. I really think it was for the best, actually. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to go deeper and better.
Yeah. Title of my sex tape.
What's it supposed to really be? What did I say? The title of my sex tape?
We're going to go deeper and better next time.
No, I know. But remember I said the wrong thing?
Oh, name of my porn show.
Oh, the name of my porn show.
Don't make me laugh.
The name of my porn show.
Name of my porn show. It's like every word you could fuck up, you fucked up is the funny part. That title of my porn show.
I'm going to do a blooper reel at the end, and this is going to be in it.
Okay, that's fine. That's cute. Blooper reel.
Okay, I'm going to do drugs now.
Have fun. Don't do too many. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Okay, I love you.
Okay, I love you too.
Okay, bye. This is like the captain's log. It's Friday, June 4th at 9:00 at night. And I interviewed Savana earlier from 2 to 3:30 and I forgot to hit record. And so I felt frustrated and wanted a drink. But I don't drink. And so I had a little mint that she gave me. And I've been stoned for hours. It's 9:00. Well, I probably had it at 5 maybe. I don't like it. I don't want to be stoned. Okay. This is the captain's log, logging out.